Andy Gaunt's back on another pod. How are you?
James, how you going? Good to chat to you and good to chat to our listeners. We've missed you guys.
Yeah, I feel like this is becoming our thing. It's like every time we start a pod, we start immediately apologizing for not putting out episodes fast enough. And what's worse is we've gotten so much good feedback in the last few episodes that people are like, oh, yeah, you've really found your stride. It's really good. Can't wait for the next one. And I'm like, well, there you go. Screw you. We're going to wait another 2 or 3 weeks and then we'll put one out.
Yeah, I've always said the best thing to do when you're picking up momentum is to just slow down a little.
Well, we are here at last, and we're here to talk about Porsche and all things curb and canyon-y kind of related.
Yeah, 100%. I could not be more excited, and great to have everyone along.
Welcome to Curb and Canyon.
All right, so James, do you know what? Big news, and this goes back a good couple of weeks, right? In fact, yeah, it goes back a little while. But we did raise on this very pod the possibility that the voice at the beginning of the podcast of our good friends at Nineworks Radio was like a sped up or slightly pitch shifted version of Lee
Sibley. Right.
Yeah, you remember this conversation, right?
I do, and I'm still convinced it is. I'm convinced it's Lee. Is it not?
Well, no, as was I until I got a DM. It is none other than Sarah Brooks, who is the wife of Andy Brooks, co-host of Nineworks Radio.
That is absolutely fantastic. Well, all right. First of all, let's just take that on faith that that's actually true, because I'm still sure it's Lee sped up. Why didn't Lee's missus do it? Why did Andy's missus have to do it?
I don't know. That's not the first question I thought of, to be honest. The first question I thought of was, Sarah said, you two guys owe me dinner. I'm like, oh my God, where are we going to take her?
Well, you know what? To be fair to Sarah, she's got a lovely radio podcast voice, and hopefully she doesn't take offense that we think that she sounds like Lee on high speed.
There was a little bit of that in the message in the DM that I got, if I'm honest. Anyway, Sarah, we love you and we owe you dinner.
Sarah, maybe you could do an intro for our podcast sometime. You know, we can make it up to you that way. And
that's what we should have done.
Send you hard cash in the post to say though? Sorry.
Because how good would that have been? We could have scripted it, you know, the most exciting new Porsche podcast in years. You know, like we could have really dialed it up.
Yeah, we could have done. Maybe you should be up for doing one on Andy and Lee. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, maybe. So it is. What time is it where you are right now, James?
It is approximately 4:38 in the afternoon.
So that strikes me that over on the West Coast, they're probably just wrapping up Luft 8 as we speak.
No, they are? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's today.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. All my hopes and dreams of attending that event have just come shattering down around me when I realized that I completely forgot that it was this weekend.
You couldn't have made it after your sort of recent journeying, I don't imagine.
No, I've spent this entire week just being absolutely knackered after close to 3,000 miles over 4 or 5 days.
Yeah,
man, it really takes you out of you.
It does.
In fact, even today, I'm still feeling a bit weary. I don't feel like my old self. So if I'd have gone out to LA, I guess it would have been yesterday.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah. That would have been a painful red eye on the way home.
Yeah, I'm really, it's funny because looking on social media today, I haven't seen too much content about it yet, which is good, but I'm definitely feeling the FOMO is real. Let's just say that. And actually I got a DM shout out to the one and only Darren Fister, who DM'd me wearing a Last Rasp t-shirt at Luft. So
no way.
Dude, what a good man, huh?
Oh, what a good guy. That's so awesome.
He's going to make my YouTube channel that I don't put anything on anymore famous.
Those additional 3 or 4 subscribers you get this afternoon, who figure out what the T-shirt's about, are going to be like, okay, there has been no content on here for us 6 months, unsubscribe.
No, they'll search on YouTube and won't be able to find it.
I was thinking about you and Last Raps this weekend when I was driving around the Smoky Mountains, Tail of the Dragon. Because the entire weekend I was in one of those sort of moods where I really, really wanted to make a video, but I wasn't sure if I was going to have the energy and the enthusiasm to get out and take all of the shots. And then I did take a few shots, but I didn't take enough. And every time I got excited about maybe putting a video together, I just thought it's going to be absolutely dreadful compared to your average Last Rask rally video. So do I bother? Do I not? And that was pretty much how I spent the entire weekend. God damn you, Andy.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I've got my Tasmania trip coming up in 39 days, apparently. And we've been, my friend Al, who runs Flat Six Affair, great photographer, we've been under reasonably strict instructions to not create content on this trip. And
oh, really?
The reason being that our mates PJ and Daz, who are organising it, really want everyone to just relax, be in the moment, not feel they have to be carrying cameras around or taking photos and the like, which is admirable for sure. But Al and I, we've been having conversations about how we can sort of covertly create content while we're down there. And so I was thinking about it, and for me, I've got to say that I'm a little bit over the thing of being on a rally every time we stop, driving ahead of everybody so that I can get drive-by shots and stuff like that. But I do want to make some piece of content because I'm a creative at heart, and I've never been to Tasmania, and I don't want to miss the opportunity, but very much take PJ's point on board that I don't really want it to impact on me enjoying the trip. So I'm thinking I might actually try a slightly different approach and do more a kind of vloggy travel piece, more in-car stuff, and not worry so much about all of the drive-bys and that type of thing. So I am planning a video for Tasmania, so there is content coming.
Ah, all right. Well, I'll take that promise. I like it. I'm excited. Whatever you put out, I'm sure it's going to be fine. As long as you don't refer to it as Tasmania and you refer to it as Tassie, because I've started calling it Tassie now after you called it Tassie.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And I got to say, I really appreciate your faith. I think the quote you just said was, whatever you put out, I'm sure it'll be fine. That's what we're aiming for with everything, right? Just mediocrity, fine.
That's just my way of gaslighting you so I can continue to have the upper hand.
Now, speaking of Tail of the Dragon, and we're going to get into your trip in a little bit, but there was some bad news on Tail of the Dragon a couple of weeks back. And I don't know if it impacted on you or sat in the back of your mind on your trip, but Adam LZ, that's his YouTube channel, was driving his lovely purple 992 GT3 on the Tail of the Dragon, and a big pickup truck pulled across the road in front of him, and smack, that is one totaled GT3.
Yeah. So what an absolute shocker for a start. I mean, just that car, paint to sample, so it's not like you can go and replace it anyway. He's going to be waiting for it's an irreplaceable car. I'm absolutely devastated for the guy. At the same time, though, and not to sort of diminish his experience, but there are accidents on that road all the time.
Is that right?
In fact, the day we arrived, we had to drive on the Tail of the Dragon, sort of the northwest to southeast route, to get to our cabin. Because you come in from the Tennessee valleys and hills, and you come in and you have to go through the Tail of the Dragon on this particular route. Halfway around the Tail of the Dragon, on the bend where we saw an accident last time we were there, there was a Nissan Z car in the ditch, gone off the road, and traffic had come to a standstill, and on that exact corner, maybe 20 or 30 yards away, it was where the 992 had its accident. And the year before, that's where we saw a crossfire upside down with people like trying to get out, and smoke coming from the car. I mean, that one particular corner and that one particular area, you've got one corner where there is the camber is sort of very counterintuitive. You're going down and around to the right, and you've got the mountain on your right, and you've got the trees and the ravine sort of on the left. But where most of the turns, the camber is turning into the mountain in your favor. On this particular turn, the camber is going up. So you're getting speed going into the corner, and then it falls away.
Yeah. Okay.
So there are a lot of people that take that corner too fast. They haven't quite got the stability they need. And because a lot of traffic's coming the other way, one little sort of oversteer and yank on the wheel, and that's just your car flipping or oversteering and going into the wall. But I don't think that was the case for this particular crash.
No.
If I understand correctly, it was a truck that just decided to jump across the traffic to get into the lay-by on the side of the road to have a break.
Well, yeah. So I imagine is that because there's the footage. Interestingly, Adam didn't have his GoPro running at that point. He had. I've watched through the whole video. He's got GoPro footage of other days on this particular trip, but there is some in-car footage from a car that was, I think, 2 cars behind him, and you see it happen, and it looks as though the pickup truck. I guess is it a sort of a viewing spot? Is it a lookout or something? And jumped across traffic to get across the other side of the road onto this lookout or lay-by, as you say, on a blind corner, and he had no chance. No chance.
That's just ridiculous. I mean, so I'd probably say every quarter of a mile, every half a mile maximum on both sides of the road, there are little pull-ins that allow slower traffic to pull over. So whether you're on the mountain side or whether you're on the outer side looking down at the ravine, you might get stuck behind someone, but whether you're a bike or a car or even a truck, you can pull off to the side just a little bit, enough to let people go by. And it's sort of the etiquette that happens on Tail of the Dragon. And, you beep your horn, you wave, say thank you, and you start carrying on. There was, I can't imagine there is a good reason as to why that truck decided to go onto a lay-by on the other side of traffic.
No, absolutely
and
not.
cut across traffic. I mean, that just sounds absolutely ridiculous. There are a couple of, I guess you would call them, well, they're not like scenic laybys, but if you want to take photos of cars on the Dragon, and there's a company called Killboy, and there's a company called 129 Photos, that they have like 2 or 3 cameras set up every day on the Dragon on these 2 or 3 corners where you get spectacular shots. Right. But that's not the type of place you pull in, because they've already got their tent up there and their truck. So, oh man, it sounds like dumb mistake, unfortunate incident, and poor guy got his 992 completely wrecked.
Yeah, and it was fun. It's funny what you're saying, that the etiquette on Tail of the Dragon, because a similar etiquette exists here in Australia. The difference being that nobody observes it. So we were driving through. There's a lovely twisty road called the Black Spur, which we were driving just last weekend, and there's exactly that, laybys that you can pull out into, and there's signs as you approach them saying slow vehicle, turn out 300 meters, and you've got you might have someone in a Corolla or they're towing a caravan, and they would look in their mirror and see 8 Porsches bearing down on them and absolutely elect not to use the slow vehicle turnout, but it's very much the standard thing here.
Wow, that's really annoying.
Yeah. But so I tell you what, the one thing about seeing this video, to me, it did give me pause to think about the driving that I do with friends and the like, and it It just reminded me that, you're not on a racetrack. You do need to leave a little bit on the table in terms of margin for error, because it is, these roads are not a controlled environment. You have other road users, you have wildlife, you have, oil spills on the road, camber that changes, poor surfaces. There are all of these other elements that come into play that impact on the level of safety that you have. And I think it's very easy sometimes to think, yes, I'm in control of my vehicle. But of course, there are all of these other things over which you have no control. And that was a really apt demonstration of that.
Yeah, definitely right. I found myself having now driven the Tail of the Dragon, I don't know, a dozen times or so. I wouldn't say getting cocky, but certainly felt like supremely confident that I could go into a number of turns just with that little bit more power, and coming out of it a little bit earlier, maybe with a little bit more power than I would have done the time before. But every time I go on that road, there are several reminders that it's not your driving necessarily you need to watch out for, because there's always some guy who's going over the line or doesn't quite make the turn, and it just makes you sort of catch your breath for a second and go, oh, fair enough, all right, let's just take a break.
It is interesting, actually, because, here, most of the roads that we would drive, most of the twisty mountain roads that we would travel to and, drive on a Sunday morning or drive in a rally, they rarely have much, if any, traffic on them whatsoever. Yet, seemingly, the Tail of the Dragon is just one of those roads that attracts tourists and enthusiasts alike. And so there's this real mix of cars and a lot of them. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. And Tail of the Dragon gets a rap for being congested, and I've never found that to be the case. Okay, if you're going to pick midday on a Saturday, sure, you're going to get stuck behind a few cars and a few RVs or whatever. You'd probably expect that. But when you drive there early in the morning or, later on in the evening, anytime during Monday to Friday, you can usually get a really clean run. But there is definitely a mixture of just sort of average tourists in the, SUVs coming to see the mountains, and then the car enthusiasts. In fact, we did get stuck behind this one guy from Michigan, who was, I would probably guess, because I was driving right up his arse and I could see in his mirror really well that he was probably in his sort of, I would say, 70s with his wife. And he did not pull over for us. No. And for the 11 miles or so we were on the tail, we went from just sort of politely driving slowly behind him to kind of flashing our lights whenever a pullover and a lay-by came over, to all the guys getting bored and revving their engines. And then it got to the point where I think one person, and maybe it was me, was just sort of driving right behind him with my headlights on, waving, just like, please pull over, please, God, get out of the way. And he just absolutely would not do it. It just absolutely drove my head. But yeah, you didn't have to pull over, I guess.
Oh yeah, but we've all had those people, right? Who you kind of get the feeling that for them it becomes a real no, fuck you. I'm not. Yeah, I'm absolutely not pulling over for you. You sons of bitches in your Porsches. You can all get stuffed.
Oh yeah, that was definitely what that guy was thinking pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so look, we've sort of half segued into it. Tell me about your trip to Tail of the Dragon. It looked, as always, I feel like you're there every 3 weeks, quite honestly. And, as always, following along on socials, I was jealous, other than the driveway up to the cabin, apparently. But for everything else, I was very jealous.
Oh, yeah. I was not very popular for that particular choice, which, to be fair, was not a selling point on the Airbnb website. They didn't say, here's this spectacular $2 million cabin with a view to die for, but just bear in mind there is a crappy...
4-wheel drive access.
Yeah, exactly. But just like the last few times we've been there, it's been fantastic. We had a really great bunch of guys. There were 4 or 5 of us that came from Minnesota. Alberto, who came with us last time to the tail and to the Smoky Mountains, he drove from Portland. So he'd been on the road for 2 days and about 1,500 miles by the time he got to Minnesota. And then did another 2 days to Tail of the Dragon with us. And I think he's only now, a week later, just got back to Portland. We had Jay coming in from...
Good on you.
I know, right? Yeah, and he brought us 2 dogs.
Yes, I laughed at that. I saw that on social media. I thought, I wonder how they're going to handle some of the twisty roads.
Well, actually, he had them strapped in, and apparently they were fine. But, I mean, first off, those 2 dogs of his are, like, ultra nice. They're really cool little dogs.
Yeah, nice.
But having spent a stint on the road now by myself for like a day at a time, just thinking about Alberto's 11-day trek, coast to coast. Goodness. Oh my God, I would be begging for some company in that cabin, even if it was just a dog asleep on the chair next to me, farting every now and again.
He's probably been picking up random psycho hitchhikers just for the conversation.
Yeah, I would probably do the same as well if I was in his shoes. But I think he wins the gold star just for effort and commitment. And so we had a bunch of guys from New Orleans. There were probably like 10 or 11 of us in the cabin. There were another handful of people that just met us for the drives who were staying in hotels around in the area. The roads were tremendous. We did the Tail of the Dragon pretty much every day, just in order to get to other driving roads. The other driving roads we went on were fantastic. We had a good laugh. The cabin had some absolutely spectacular views. But yeah, the dirt path to get up to the cabin was about half. Oh, mate, it was like half a mile. It was gravel. It was up and down. And when I say up, it was like ridiculously steep elevation. And not only was it steep, it was wet, it was gravelly, and there were potholes. So you couldn't really go up at any particular speed. Now, my 996 did it just fine with its perfect factory stance. And so did Jay's Boxster. But Chris's 991 Turbo, he got up the first day and he just looked upset, man. I mean, I think he didn't want to let it spoil his trip, but you could see that it was weighing on him, that there may have been some kind of damage or at least a risk of damaging his car getting up there. So for the rest of the trip, he just parked it at the bottom and then kind of hiked up by himself.
Oh, did he actually? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. And, fair play to the guy. He got up to the top, wasn't a bead of sweat on him, and he was like, yeah, all right, super easy. I mean, just what a good lad. One of the guys wanted to come with us to see what the cabin was like. He was actually staying in a hotel in his brand new 992 GTS. He got about a quarter of a mile down the dirt track, heard a couple of people screaming on the radio, oh, I've just scraped. And then we heard him like chime in going, okay, guys, I'm turning around. See you later. And he just left. He just did not want to come up and see it at all.
Smart play.
But it was fantastic. 4 or 5 days. But I think you've commented on this a couple of times. When we've done road trips here in the US, there is a significant amount of drive time and distance to cover to get to the destination where we do our driving. So like Tail of the Dragon is a 2-day trip. There's no two ways about it. It's 8 hours one day, it's 6-7 hours the next day. And once you get there, we're there for 3 or 4 days and we do loads of driving. And then it's another couple of days back. The interstates, the road quality typically in the US on the interstates is just terrible. Our infrastructure over here is just awful. So spending 2 days driving basically in a straight line on crappy interstates to get to a destination is torture. So on the way back, we actually decided to take side roads. We took county roads, which would be, I guess in the UK, just equivalent of A roads. And I don't know what it is down under, but,
I
not the motorway. And it took us, probably took us an extra 2 or 3 hours on top of what was going to be an 8-hour day to get to St. Louis. But it was absolutely incredible. It was amazing. In fact, it was almost just as good as driving in the Smoky Mountains. The scenery was fantastic. There was no traffic. It was single lanes. There were lots of twists and turns. Got to see loads of these little, you know, the whole sort of cliche of small town America. Yeah. I got to see so many just tiny little towns, which kind of all reminded me of Hill Valley or whatever from Back to the Future. And it was tremendous. So I think, you know, next time we do that, I'm going to do that again. The second day, we just cannonballed it on the interstate back from St. Louis because that was going to be a 10-hour drive regardless. So we didn't want to prolong it anymore. But that first day on the way back, that's what I'm doing next time. That was really good.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It makes quite the difference, and we find on our rallies again there's no way of avoiding some, let's call them commute sections or liaison stages, as they would call them in the rally world. But even with those, we try and avoid the motorways for exactly that reason. There's very rarely any traffic. And in fact, there's one on day one of our Alpine Range rally, there's right towards the end of the day, there is this one section of road that a local had told us about on a previous rally that it runs parallel to the motorway, but just south of the motorway. And you get onto it and there's never anyone on there. And invariably it's pouring rain when we're on it. But I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but let's just say we may or may not fracture the speed laws along said road. But it's beautiful scenery. You've got perfect visibility for a long, long way. There's no other cars there. And it just, even though you're driving in a straight line, it feels exciting and interesting and you know, complete contrast to just being on the motorway.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think that's the way I'm going to do it from here on. Definitely.
Yeah. So how would where does this last trip rank for you compared with previous journeys?
I would say I'd say it's probably the best yet, actually.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I think so because I'm the 996 just proved itself again to be an absolutely terrific ride. It's comfortable on the roads. It handles amazingly on those twisties. I didn't have a single problem with it. Apart from a slightly dodgy battery, which I was convinced was going to die on me. So every time I started the car up, I was like, is this going to be the time I need to buy a new battery? But the car was fantastic. It performed excellent. I managed to take care of a few of the squeaks and the bugs that I picked up, going to the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. So those little niggles weren't there to wind me up this time. Yes. And it was tremendous to see Chris experience the Smoky Mountains for the first time. Because we do all of this driving together in the Twin Cities, and he hasn't been able to make it. To the previous 3 or 4 times we've been, to actually see him get there and to see his sort of look of adrenaline after he gets out of his car. It just, it kind of like makes it new again for me. I've got to say though, that car of his is unbelievably fast. I mean, I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but a turbo. Oh my God. So there were a couple of times where I was directly in front of Chris, and I was really going for it in the 996 on these roads that I've now driven 4 or 5 times, really just trying to see if I could sort of keep up with Chris, or at least I was worried about slowing him down. Yeah. And because I'd driven the roads quite a few times before, I had a bit more confidence in the corners the first day than he did. But it didn't matter in the turbo, because for every 2 or 3 corners where I managed to put some distance between me and him, the minute there was anything more than about 100 yards of a straight, it was just zoom, right at my ass again. And it's just, you look at him for a split second and you can't see him, and then you just ping your eye back on the mirror and he's right behind you.
Boom,
That
there
car,
he is again.
Oh my God. The capture of that car is just insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they are there, and so capable too. Talk about a do everything car when it comes to that sort of journey. I'm not sure I can think of a better car to do it in, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he I think he pretty much had the pick of the car from the group.
Yeah.
Everyone was loving on that car, and dude, he's done such a great job with that. I'm biased, of course, because I've worked on it with him, but he's got the carbon fiber mirrors now and the wing, and he's finished his wheels, and he's got the full Soul exhaust on there now, and he's got his stripe on, and it's just, the car looks mean, and it sounds mean, and it drives just so well. Wow.
I was about to say, how does it sound? Because that is the one thing with the turbos, is they're not known for being loud or race car sounding. How's that Soul Performance exhaust changed the character of the sound?
If anything, it's sort of put the turbo back into consideration alongside the naturally aspirated engines, I think.
Wow.
It doesn't sound like a turbo anymore, and it doesn't sound as good, or like it doesn't sound as pure as a naturally aspirated engine, but you kind of get the best of both worlds. You can hear the engine kind of tune up and hum, but you get a lot of rasp. And
cool.
So Chris he's got the Soul Performance X pipe, and he's also got the headers and the cats. So he's got like the full end-to-end Soul system, and you can really tell.
Yeah, amazing.
And making that before and after video with him last year when we installed all those components, I was really amazed actually just at the transformation in the sound. I think if you ever hold back from buying a turbo because you don't think it's going to sound as good as other 911s, just give it a bit of soul, and you won't worry about it at all.
Yeah. Well, there's a free plug, and and I've got to call it out. Jay Reed, who spent an inordinate amount of time correcting his paint on that Boxster and bringing it up to something that looked amazing. First of all, you don't wash your car on a rally. The dirt is that's like a trophy at the end of it.
That's what I think. You're right. That's exactly what I think. Yeah.
What's with all these dudes at the car wash? We got to break that down first of all. But second of all, Jay having spent all that time correcting his paint, and then there on social media he is not only washing his car at the car wash, but using the big brush. The thing that's just full of grit, gravel, God knows what else, on the paintwork.
Oh, I know. And let's not just throw Jay under the bus. We've got to throw Michael under the bus as well. Michael Wooten from Michael's Meats and Motors, because he was in the bay next door with his wife in the car while I was there talking to him with the brush, giving it like everything, top to bottom. It was haunting. So a couple of things. First off, I don't get why you need to wash your car all the time when you're on the rally. I appreciate that you want it to look good and you're there to enjoy the car and you want to make sure your photos, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. I could see, okay, I'm going to wash my car maybe at the end of each day, once we're back at the cabin over a few beers, and, we'll keep the conversation going about driving for the day. All right. I can get that. I can see that. I'm not going to mention names here. Chris in his turbo. There was one day when Chris woke up early to take his car down into the town to get his car washed. And then after the first stop, he was out cleaning the bugs off the front of it. And then at lunch, we found that car wash where you saw the video of Jay and Chris and several others washing their cars, like halfway through the day. And I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, Chris also disappeared for like an hour to go and clean his car. So I think in that one day, his turbo got washed at least 3 times. Though, I'm driving the equivalent of a beta Porsche 911, I guess. I don't really care. If I was driving $150,000 turbo, maybe I would clean it every day. I don't know, but there is that kind of part of the discussion. But you're absolutely right. What on earth were Jay and Michael doing with brushes?
Yeah, I don't know.
Screaming down their car.
Yeah, and do you know what? Even on that point, I'm crazy about washing my car, and people. Perhaps I've been given a hard time about it in the past, but even with my paintwork the way it is, the car looking as good as it does, when I do a rally, it's like no. This is the only time your car is going to get this dirty. So wear that dirt with pride. We make allowances. People are allowed to clean their windscreens. Get
totally.
Get the bugs off the windscreen, have some visibility. Sure, knock yourself out. But beyond that,
Yeah, I know, man. I know.
Wow.
But let's give Jay a big shout out though, because that Boxster of his looked in immaculate condition. He's done such a great job. I didn't get to see it up close and personal when he first bought it, but the paint looked fantastic. The interior is immaculate. The wheels look fantastic. He's got a new soft top on it. He's done some of his own work. I don't think he's touched the exhaust yet, but he's done control arms, I think, as well.
Okay.
So he's done a few mechanical things as well as cosmetic. And it looks fantastic. And also, I think so he's got a 270 horsepower engine, I think, something like that. It's not the fastest car in the world, but he kept up with us the whole time. There was no one grumbling that somebody got stuck behind Jay on the twisty turnies because he wasn't driving fast enough. He was right there with everyone. There was just no problem.
No. There is a hell of a lot to be said for a well set up, beautifully balanced car that carries momentum. And I've talked about it many times. My mate Trev, who up until recently was driving a first gen Boxster, he was the guy that we often put at the front of the queue because he's quicker than everybody. So yeah, there's no issue with how fast those cars can go on the road.
Yeah, and it looked like it was handling fantastically on all the curves and so on. Yeah, I was really impressed. It just there's something about that color, forest green or rainforest, whatever it is.
Forest green. It's the same as my 964.
Oh, it was just stunning. It's like one of those colors where when all the cars were lined up, that was the one I wanted to go and look at, and sort of stare at, because the color is kind of mesmerizing in many ways. It's really deep. It's got a shine. Wow. Yeah, I was very impressed.
Yeah, love it.
Speaking of beautiful green cars, how is your lovely 964 that hasn't been getting any love for a while?
Well,
has GT4 fever taken over?
Yeah, GT4 fever has taken over, but so the 964 has been having a sleepover at my pal Fraz's place. And interesting, Fraz is the guy who I bought the car from originally. So for the last 3 weeks, it's been in his garage, and he's been going outside and looking at it. And he's not said this to me, but I wonder if he's been looking at it thinking, damn it, why did I sell? But that was really good because I went away on holidays, so it was nice to have that tucked away safely. And I just collected it yesterday. And I have to say, it had been a few weeks. I haven't really driven it all that much, even prior to dropping it off at his place. And I collected it yesterday, and I thought, having driven the GT4 so much, I was going to get back into the 964 and find its very mechanical gear shift. It's 32-year-old interior and the like all just feel pretty sort of rudimentary and agricultural. Well, I got in that car, I drove out of his garage onto the road, and as I drove down the road, I thought, holy shit, this car is just so good.
Really?
Oh man, it's so smooth. It's powerful. It sounds incredible. The shift with the Sleeper's short shift kit is it's mechanical and just so satisfying. It's so good. And honestly, I just thought to myself, I'm home. I'm home. It just, dude. Yeah. So really, really stoked to drive it yesterday. I've got a drive coming up on the Sunday morning next weekend, and I'm taking the 964 because I haven't taken it in the twisties for a couple of months now. So I actually cannot wait to get out in the hills in that car. I'm very happy to have it home. Yeah.
That makes me very happy. I'm a big fan of Little Green, and last time we talked, I think you said you maybe had for a fleeting moment, you thought about maybe getting rid of it or selling it, or at least the thought crossed your mind.
Well, look, don't do that. No, I won't. You do that thing where you think, well, hang on, I've got Little Green, and then now I've got the GT4, right? and then man maths takes over, and you think, well, hang on, if I sold both, I don't really need two cars. What could I get? And suddenly GT3s kind of start looming as a possibility, right? But the thing I've realized is that I love the modern stuff. I love the capability of the modern stuff, but there is an experience that you get in the old cars that the new cars can't replicate. And for me, it's not just, how the car performs in the twisties. It might just be driving around running errands. There's something about doing that in Little Green that just that can't be replicated by a new car.
Got it.
But I had actually, do you know what I have? So I have a bone to pick with you. Yeah. This has been I've been seething about it for a few weeks now, and just trying to suppress the anger so that it will come out at the opportune time. And this strikes me as just such a time. So it may have been our last pod, right? We were talking about the winter rally that I organised here, which was a single day rally. It was my first real decent long blast in the GT4. And I gave a bit of a report on how I found the car in that experience. And one of the, let's say, complaints I had was that I was getting that buffeting noise when I had the windows down, the sort of... And it was Nick Hansen, Weekender Porsche, on Instagram, who messaged me and said, you need to try these AWE tuning wind foils that I put on my car. They've made a really big difference. And I thought, oh, wow, these sound great. So I get on Google and I search for AWE wind foils. I found a few little threads here and there, and maybe fourth or fifth in the Google search results, auto amateur installation video of AWE tuning wind foils. I was like, dude, you've made a video about this, and when I was telling you about this issue that I had, you didn't think to maybe say, yo, here's a little solution you might try. What the actual fuck?
Well, let me ask you, did you install them? Do they work?
I ordered them. Fuck knows where they are.
Look, let's just say that
I know, it looks like it was hard, but then Daniel...
No. I'm just trying to say, how can I say this delicately?
Well, look, let me give you a bit more thinking time to come up with excuses. Because the other thing I will say is that Daniel then messaged me and also said that he had fitted them, and he found it way easier than he was anticipating, that it wasn't as complicated as you had explained it was, where you had to pull door panels off and the like. So I don't know. I just like, a buddy is in need. A buddy needs a recommendation of something, and you go, you know what? Let him figure that out on his own.
Look, I don't know what to say. Yeah. No, but so a couple of things. One, for my particular model, the 991.1, you did have to take off the door panel to get to the screws you needed to release the clip or whatever it was that was holding it in place. I think with the 997 and the 991.2, you don't actually have to do that, which is fantastic. But I am very, very vocal about the products that I am very excited about. and I'm not so vocal about the ones that I'm not. So just, take that for whatever it means to you.
Wow.
It's fine. They work great. Does it fit properly? Kinda. Does it stop the buffeting? Sure. Bollocks.
Okay.
It's just a load of bollocks.
Come on. I have ordered them. They are somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, I assume. God knows where they are. But we'll see. Because I'm really hoping I've got them for Tassie. Because I do like to drive with the window down. And in fact, so last weekend we drove Reefton Spur, which is an incredible road east of Melbourne. It's probably, in many respects, the ultimate test road for me. I don't know if I could relate it to something like Tail of the Dragon. It is extremely long, a big long climb with just turn after turn after turn after turn. It's quite technical, but it really it's one of those roads where you can have a day where it just doesn't work and you can't get the flow going, and then you have a day where everything clicks and it feels perfect. So I was really excited to take the GT4 up that road. It was the first time I'd been up there. Found a position for the window that I could have it down enough to hear that exhaust bouncing off the canyon wall, which was just amazing.
Nice.
And honestly, I got to say, I fell in love with the GT4 even just a little bit more on that day, and discovered that there is a difference in the way you have to drive it compared with the 964. And I'm talking about when you want to drive it hard, because the 964, you kind of have to wring its neck, to keep up with the modern cars. Whereas the GT4, I worked out that the harder I tried to drive it, the worse I drove it. And this is like any race car driver, I'm sure, would tell you this anyway. But in just relaxing and stopping trying so hard, and the car's got all this torque anyway, so you don't need to wring its neck so much. It suddenly all just clicked, and oh my goodness, what an amazing car! What an incredible car! It's just, it is. It's as good as everybody says. I'm absolutely loving it, and in fact, I'm loving it so much. I took it this week. I am having the front end. I'm having PPF, and then ceramic coating the rest of the car. So it's going to get a full paint correction, then PPF for the front bar, the bonnet, the headlights, the wing mirrors, and then ceramic coating everywhere else. So it is going to look. The paint already looks good, but it's going to look spectacular.
This is love. This is not just a casual fling. This is more than romance. This is love.
I feel like there's some potential for a long-term relationship here. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking PPF and ceramic coating and paint correction and all of that bollocks, it's definitely love. It's got to be. Well, look, you're in it for the long haul.
Well, it could be, or it could just be protecting the investment, knowing that I have a 3-day trip in Tasmania where I expect it's probably going to cop some gravel. So it might be that. But I expect next week, I'm not sure when we're going to air this, but it'll be on the Ultimate Detailer. If you look him up on Instagram, I'm sure there'll be progress photos. But as I dropped it off, he was really funny. He said to me, I dropped it off on Thursday night. And he said, I'm trying to give this some context. So I live basically about 40 minutes east of downtown Melbourne. And there's a suburb called Point Cook, which is probably about 50 minutes west of downtown Melbourne. And he said to me as I dropped the car off, he said, now listen, just don't worry about it. The car's going to be super secure. I drive it home tonight to Point Cook. It's locked up in my garage. And I was like, the fuck you will. And and he just looks at me for a second and then just bursts out laughing. He's like, nah, man, I'm just yanking your chain. I'm not taking it to Point Cook. Oh, dude. He goes, I use that gag with everyone.
Speak your mind. Yeah, I guess.
It was quite funny. But
so
anyway.
I got a question for you then, because your PPF remark made me think. There's a guy here in the Twin Cities who's just bought himself a brand new 992 GTS. It hasn't yet been delivered. It's on a ship. It's going to arrive on the East Coast in, I don't know, let's just say the next week. It hasn't yet had PPF on. And his plan is to fly to the East Coast and drive it back to the Twin Cities. And he's asking me, a couple of questions about different mods and stuff he's interested in doing. But the question is, would I get it PPF'd at the port by a local shop at the risk of, spending an extra couple of days out there on the East Coast before driving home? Or would he just drive it back and then get it PPF'd back here in the Twin Cities? And I can see his position because he's the owner and he's absolutely desperate to get in and drive it. But I've said to him, my recommendation would be to get it PPF'd, even just the front, do like a full front, get it PPF'd at the port as soon as you can, and don't drive it home until you've done it. Or get it transported on a flatbed, in a container, and then get it PPF'd once it gets to Minnesota. But you're going to drive 2,000 miles, the best part of 2,000 miles in a brand new car on American interstates. You're going to get rock chips all over the show. What would you do?
Look, I think depending on the type of driving you're planning to do, but if you are going to PPF it when it is in the best condition possible, which is when it gets off the ship. Is he collecting it from a dealer, I assume?
Actually, you know what? I don't know. I think he is. Yeah, I think he is.
Because most dealers, certainly I know the dealers here, would have relationships with local detailers who would do pre-delivery detailing. So these pre-delivery detailers kind of go to the next level above and beyond the detailing that the dealer itself does. So, your car arrives, they have to peel off all of that protective film and all that stuff. They'll wash it, detail it. The car looks amazing, obviously, but you'll still find swirls. You'll still find little imperfections. So a pre-delivery detail will correct all of that out. Do paint protection if you want. Do PPF if you want. I would absolutely just do it when it's new, because then you never have to do it again. You don't have to have the conversation where someone's saying, yeah, look, we're going to PPF your front end. Just so you know, we're PPFing over some existing rock chips that happened on the 2,000-mile journey you already did in the car. Even if it meant, and because I'm the least patient person in the world when it comes to wanting delivery of something, so I totally empathize with his desire to simply collect the car and have it and then have that driving experience. But if the intention is to PPF it, do it before you collect it, 100%.
Yeah. Good advice. Solid advice there from Mr. Andy Gauns.
There you go. Now, shall we talk video of the week?
You can talk video of the week. Did you pick one? I'm just going to leave it there. Sure, let's talk about it.
Do you know what? As I started asking the question, I thought, James hasn't seen this. There's no way. And I thought, I wonder if he'll just go with, I really enjoyed this one and try and cover it up.
Look, what I've actually done is I've clicked, that looks really good. I've clicked on the link in the show notes and I'm watching it right now. Looks great. It's epic. Mm-hmm.
It's the shortest video for video of the week we've done. What's funny is this video I've seen, it's been around for a couple of years. It's always really hard to find on YouTube. We will obviously put the link on Instagram, but it's a video called Gravity. It was made by Renline, and yes, unfortunately it's more air-cooled content, but it is just this black 964 tearing around some hills. I don't know where the location is. I feel like maybe East Coast United States. It looks like it's a lot of deciduous trees going on. But it's a black 964 with orange Carrera decal down the side, orange Cup 1s, which sounds kind of crazy, but I guess it's got this sort of RS look. And the way it's shot, it's got these crazy fast cuts in it. It's really quick. It's got this James Brown soundtrack. Every time I watch it, I desperately want to go and drive immediately after watching it. It's so good, and it really captures some drives feel frenetic. It just feels like
Yeah.
you're doing everything. You're shifting, you're changing, you're clutching, you're everything, heel and toe. It captures that. It captures how some drives don't feel relaxing. You kind of lean into the fact that there's so much happening and so much to do, and I just love it. So yeah, I would encourage you to check it out. Like I say, I think it goes for like a minute and a half, 90 seconds. So
it's not even that.
Nah, there you go.
It's a minute and then 12 seconds of credits at the end. Wow. So I've now watched it twice, and it's incredible. I would guess it's actually the West Coast. I think that's a Portland, Oregon sort of license plate on the back.
Right.
But yeah, that kind of makes me want to go and actually start editing my Tail of the Dragon footage. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, good choice, Andy. Definitely video of the week. But wait a minute. So that was put out by Renline. At Renline, it says here, have only got 820 subscribers.
Seems odd, right?
Are we talking about the same Redline?
Correct. Yeah.
That's like the Redline.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They gotta maybe do some paid posts, I feel.
I think so. Well, that's a wicked video. Good choice, Andy. Another winner from you for video of the week. I'll try and watch it for next time.
Yeah, Ben. Do you know what? Feel free to offer some up. AKA make a contribution. So
I might. Well, I think that's it for another episode, my friend.
Yeah, I think so. And we've got a cracker next week. I'm really excited. A special guest.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us a little bit about our guest.
So next week we are chatting with Rick from Rico Customs. Now he is, I'm just going to come out and say it. I feel he's like literally the coolest guy on Instagram. He's he's unreal. He's based in Holland. He does these amazing backdated cars. You'll have seen him. You know who he is. You know his cars. They're all great colors, like these really sort of muted colors, grays and sort of dark blues, and yeah, they're these ST builds that are just fantastic. And yeah, he's a bit of a social media star, hangs out in that scene over there with guys like Bart the photographer. So he's kind of he's let's call him a big deal in the air-cooled community, and really, really cool dude, and I can't wait to chat with him.
Nice. Well, that's coming up. And then hopefully if you and I can get our act together and continue to make these on a regular basis, there'll be even more content coming.
Yeah, there will be, right? Like life just sometimes has its way of interrupting these things. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's a little bit of sweet. But right at the end here, let me just say we have had our... we just hit over 10,000 downloads for season 1. And season 2 is pretty close to 10,000 as well now.
Oh, right.
So isn't that great news? That's fantastic.
Amazing news. We should definitely take another couple of weeks off to celebrate.
Exactly. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been Andy and James at Curb and Canyon. Get out and drive, and we'll see you in another episode soon.
See you guys.